So in a minute, we're going to walk through a little history of search engines, brief history, just to see some of the main ideas about them. Let's start off by saying the World Wide Web, or WWW, that's the abbreviation for World Wide Web, was introduced in 1989. So it's a relatively new thing. And you can imagine that at that time, there weren't a lot of web pages on the internet. So if you did a search of all the web pages, that wouldn't be that many. But today, there's maybe 60 billion pages in 2012. That's just an estimate. It's hard to get an exact estimate on the number of pages which are on the internet because there's just so many hidden pages that are hard for any crawler, which would physically crawl the space of the internet and try to figure out and try to grab all the pages it could and return all of the results of all the different pages. So it's a hard task to do, but the estimate as of 2012 was 60 billion pages on the internet. And Google, at that time, around 2012, had indexed 40 billion web pages. So Google, when you search on Google, you have access to two-thirds, on average, I'm just going to say, two-thirds of the internet. You have access to two-thirds of the pages that are on the internet. So there's some that aren't even known even by Google. And that's probably interesting to you. But what you have to understand is that even 40 billion is just so remarkable that they were able to get that many search results. That's just a lot of results. And so here's a graph of the number of pages that were indexed by Google in billions by year. So starting back down in 1997, that's when Google was founded. When Google started to come out in 1997, there were 24 million pages that Google has indexed. And by index, that means that they could return the result because they had it in their database. So they keep a collection of all of the pages that they've indexed, and they have all the connectivity between them, which we'll look at in a minute. But all the pages that they've indexed and that they can return for a search result at the time of its founding was 24 million. So they knew of, quote unquote, we can say indexed means really to know of. They knew of 24 million back down here. So this is 24 million. And you can see how much that crawled up, even up to 2005. It was a little over 8 billion. So by here, it was greater than 8 billion. Just orders of magnitude greater. So an interesting chart that any of you could do for a wiki entry, and we'd love to see this, is if you actually plotted the number of pages or the estimated number of web pages by year versus Google's index count by year. So you can add, if you added another chart on the side over here, or you just graph them even, to just say on the one hand we have this is how many pages Google has indexed, and each year also this is how many web pages were estimated to have been out there in total, and so on. So we can do that. But the reason we stop here at 2005 is because this is the time when then Google, after that, stopped publicizing the number of pages they have indexed on their front page. So initially they had it shown year by year, so every time you went onto Google, you'd be able to see how many pages they have in their index. But as of 2005, then they stopped doing that. So they just released, though, that they have about 40 billion, at least in 2012. That's how many they indexed. So an interesting point is if they have 40 billion pages in their index, how is it that they're able to return what you need within the first few results? So you rarely have to go beyond the first page. Rarely will you go beyond the first page, even if you do the search result correctly, and they're able to return it and give you the best hits within the first page, and you're able to usually find the information you need within a page. So how is it that that's possible? They have to sift through this 40 billion pages, find that ranking consensus, and return that. And that's an interesting problem.